This is the Yadea Trooper 01, and I'm gonna start this video right off with a dyno test because I actually watched a few other review videos of this bike, and there's some really interesting things about this company I want to tell you about later. But I was so intrigued by what the other reviewers said about the power up hills that I wanted to see what the torque was like for myself. But of course, I gotta do it with science. This has a tiny little display on the right-hand side. I haven't ridden the bike, but it's fully charged. Tires are pumped all the way up, and I have 3-pedal assist settings, so in case they affect the throttle, I've got it turned up to high. And thumb throttle on the right-hand side. That is pretty good. And that's all it's got. The other reviewers did mention that it maxes out right at 20 miles an hour like a Class 2 bike. It's got a sticker right there that says so, and that's exactly what it did. But the torque and the wattage, I think, looked pretty impressive. That's the answer right there. What I was seeing is that some of these guys were taking this bike up hills, and the bike was basically just pegged right at the 20-mile-an-hour limit and wasn't slowing down. And other bikes they'd reviewed up the same hill would slow down, which kind of makes sense. And this one was just staying right at that 20-mile-an-hour cap with almost 37 foot-pounds. It's no wonder that it's doing that. And also a peak wattage of 1441. This is a pretty powerful little bike. I gotta move a bunch of stuff down here. The Yadea Trooper, 1441 watts, past the rad powers, past the cycle on the Jan Snow, the Hauchi, the Mach Wheel Basalt, Troxus Tracks, Rundeer Attack 10, the G-Force T7, the Area 13 Blackbird Step Through, the Walkie H6 Max. Now technically the mid-drive on the Area 13 Foxbat, that's a Bafang BB SHD, does put out a little bit more torque, so this bike might out-accelerate it, but as far as peak power, horsepower, that's where the Yadea Trooper is gonna fit in. So although the numbers tell me what it's gonna do up the hills, I think I still wanna try it for myself. Got my warm weather gloves, my warm weather jacket. So my very first thought riding it is that it's so disappointing that it's limited to 20 miles an hour. I know that's the legal limit, okay? But it gets up to 20 so quickly, and you feel like it's got so much more power in it, and then it just kind of stops, that it's fun, and then it's disappointing. So I'm gonna stop and just hit the throttle. It eases the power on for the first like second or two, and then it's just like zips right up to 20, and that's it. It's kind of funny, if you start from 0 and go full throttle, then it eases the power on. But if you're rolling and then you hit the throttle, then it jumps pretty quickly. So it feels peppy at basically all speeds other than a 0 to top speed test. It's a very maneuverable little bike. It feels small, compact. At 20 miles an hour, my pedaling does absolutely nothing. My knees are so scrunched up that it's not comfortable to pedal anyway. I will also point out that they sent this bike out as a single speed, and I'm not even mad about that, because in my mind, this is not a bike designed to be pedaled. The pedals really are there just for legality of calling it an electric bike. This is something people are just gonna throttle around. The only time I'd be real picky about a bike like this still having some decent gearing is if it didn't have the power to get up steep hills. And based on that dyno test, this thing's got a lot of torque. So I've come back to this short little steep hill in my neighborhood to see if this will actually slow down. I think this hill needs a name. Drop me a comment if you have an idea for it. So full throttle, accelerating. All right, now I'm up to max speed. It did slow me down a little bit, like a couple miles an hour. So it couldn't maintain 20 up that hill, but still did like 18 or so. That's pretty quick. So the bike's pretty fun. Price-wise, it is on sale right now for $19.99. They list the normal price as $21.99. That seems pretty reasonable. It's got an RST inverted front suspension fork up front, and it's got a coilover shock in the rear, so it is a full suspension bike. It's running Tektro hydraulic brakes with 180 millimeter rotors. Let's see how it stops. Stops good. By putting the battery up top, they're trying to create that retro motorcycle look. Definitely taking a shot at the Super 73 bikes. The triple tree front inverted forks. They've got a nice big round headlight, nice tall bars. The bike feels fairly short. Overall, it feels small. Like I said, it feels very maneuverable. Nice torquey little motor that they've got on there. If we can unlock that as far as the top end speed, probably would go pretty fast. Just a single speed drivetrain. Now that does of course save some cost. You don't have a derailleur. This single speed sprocket is cheaper, but I also think it's kind of a good function choice for a bike like this because you just don't need the gears. You're not going to use them anyway. The fenders are kind of an interesting design. Pretty traditional setup in the back, but if we go up to the front, shorty little like half fender on the front side of the fork, and then you come to the back and, well, there's nothing there because it's on the frame. So that's kind of an interesting design. I'm guessing they did that just because of clearance with the fork travel. You can see I used about that much of the travel so far, but I haven't really gone off-road or anything. The fork's not anything super fancy because there is zero adjustment anywhere on it that I can see, and this front wheel is just bolted on. So they saved a little money by doing that for something around $2,000. I'd like to start seeing a through axle. I think that would be better. I don't think this is going to be an issue. It looks like a pretty sturdy design. It's got these little hooks at the bottom to make sure that your wheel can't fall off even if one of these nuts started to come loose. But of course, a through axle would be better. They did put wheels on that have cutouts. I don't see that on 20-inch wheels that often, so that's interesting. The wheels just save weight. There's no downside as far as strength. They typically cost more because, of course, there's an extra manufacturing process to cut those holes out. So I see that as a bonus. It's using CST tires, which I've been seeing more and more on bikes these days. They're inexpensive, but quality-wise seem to be holding up pretty well. I do like their little integrated basket that comes on here. It's big enough to hold the charger for the bike and a few other things. Not big enough to put like a grocery bag into it because it's not wide enough, but nice that it comes with something stock to store stuff. Now this seat right here is huge, really comfy. I mean, look at how much cushion it's got in it. So wide that if you could pedal, it wouldn't be comfortable, but you're not gonna pedal, so it doesn't matter. Probably one of the more comfortable big seats I've seen on a bike like this. Let's try the horn. Not as loud as I thought it'd be, but it works. Let's see, turn the headlight on. It's just on or off. And here's the display. No, I didn't change it to miles per hour yet. It's very small and compact. There's a light thing on here, but the light actually works with the button over there. So to change the assist mode, you press this top button and it changes from eco, mid, or high. And then it just goes off, and then you press it again to cycle it through. I prefer an up and a down, but since I would realistically just put it in high or just throttle around, don't really care. You got your speed in the middle, odometer down at the bottom, and then your battery level on the right-hand side. If I press the mode button, I got trip meter. Oh, nice. That is the battery voltage. So it's sitting right at 52.5 volts. This is a 48 volt battery with a pretty impressive 20 amp hours of capacity. Even better than that is that this is UL certified. So if that's a requirement in your state, city, or just a selling point for you, that's something to be aware of. There is the sticker right down here, Electrical Systems for E-Bicycle, official UL certified sticker. I've had people ask if their stuff is UL certified. Look for this kind of sticker on your battery or on the bike itself. If it isn't there, it's not. Personally, I think it's a good looking bike. The tail light is wired in and is a functional brake light. There we go. I've only ridden it a short distance so far. Let me go ride it some more, see if I can find any problems with it. So if we just get a rolling start real slow, will then it get punchy and take right off? Yeah, it will. The soft start thing is just kind of if you hit the throttle all at once and you're not moving at all. I wonder if that changes at all if we hold the brake, throttle it, and then let go of the brake. Nah, same thing. But it's quick. So if you really did want to pedal, you could scoot way back all the way on the saddle because it's so long, but then your arms are stretched out kind of ridiculous, but that just doesn't feel comfortable. So one thing I definitely want to talk about is the company itself, Yadea, or is it Yadea, or is it Yadea, or Yadea? I don't know. I watched multiple videos, and every person I watched said it a different way. So Yadea is the one that popped out of my mouth, so I guess that's what I'm going to run with. Often when these e-bike companies reach out, I have never heard of them. And this wasn't an exception to that. However, when I looked up the company like I normally do, I got some interesting results. They are not a brand new company by any means. They make scooters, they make electric bikes, they even make electric motorcycles. So if you thought they were just making this look like a motorcycle because they don't know how to make a motorcycle, that's definitely not the case. They just announced an electric motorcycle that has a 300-some volt battery, can charge, I think it was 0 to 80% in 10 minutes, goes 99 miles an hour, had some pretty impressive specifications. And although that particular motorcycle was a new announcement, they have been selling product for a while. They've already built and delivered millions of units between their scooters and bikes. It sounds like their primary market right now is in Asia, and they're really just new to the US market. So this bike is something they're pushing right now to get here. My understanding is that they're going to be setting up support in the US, dealers in the US. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens as time goes on. As far as I know, right now, you can just buy them directly from their website, which of course, I'll put a link to that in the description. But this is a publicly traded company that seems quite large. It's not a fly-by-night e-bike company that's just slapping their name on something. Now that alone isn't going to sway my opinion of whether or not this is a good bike or not, but I know often people are commenting about the company themselves and, you know, worried about if they're going to have support. And the indicators for this company for that sort of thing are pretty good. I want to see what this thing will do on gravel through some potholes, see how the suspension behaves. It's pretty smooth. There's a pretty big bump. I'm going to hit it on purpose. Ugh, I felt that a little bit. Maybe a little stiff, if anything. I'd prefer that over suspension that feels like it's gonna bottom out all the time. I think it's set up right for what it is. I think due to the smaller size of this would be a popular bike among teenagers. Let's see if I can find one and test that theory out.
Do I get to ride it?
Are you in this video too? I feel like I found a teenager and his mother. The teenager approves, the mother maybe not. It has a little, you know.
Oh, that's sick. I'm just riding it, that's all I'm doing?
Yeah, I just think you're the exact kind of person who would want this.
Probably. It go vroom, so yes. We can clip that. It go vroom, so yes.
No, we're gonna leave that in. I don't know how that's going. I guess I will just stay here and pet this cat. Hi, Stevie. Typical cat.
There's this McDonald's because I'm loving it.
You're so soft. Meow. You're smiling. Hey, I need my bike back. He's riding away with it. Do you have any final words for me?
Bike go vroom.
There you have it. Approval from a teenager. I will put a link in the description where you can buy this bike.
That goes vroom.
That goes vroom.
That better be in the final video.